40 years?
No.
No? How
Thir-
long?
36.
36 years?
Yes, 36 years.
When and how did you come here?
No, I was in India already. I've been in India for 46 years.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
What were you doing before that?
I was teaching in Rajghat School in Benares, Krishnamurti School.
I see.
And then I met Mahi. I didn't know about her in Europe. I've never been out of India for 46 years.
Oh, you've been in India 46
Yes.
years? You
Since
never went back
July 1935, I arrived in Bombay. Since then, I've never left India.
I see. Why?
It was like that. You see, first I was to go back. I had a 2 years contract, but I didn't like to go back. Then I said, I'll work another year. They would pay my journey back, you see. I said, I don't want to go. I want to come back again. So I was going after 3 years. That was 1938. Then Hitler had come to Austria, you see. And my people wrote to me, don't come. They were
Dangerous.
afraid, yes. So I didn't go, and that was the end.
And after that you...
I never left India. No.
What have
I've
you...
not been
when
out.
did you meet Ma first?
I
and what was
met
your
Ma
experience?
first in 1943.
I see. And what was your first
Well,
meeting with her?
I met her in Almora. And there was a Danish sadhu there. His name is Sorensen. Do you know him? Sorensen. And he said, you should meet Anandamayi Ma. And so I went there once and I met her. But I was very critical, you see, so I was... Then there was no ashram in Almora. I was sitting outside on a cot somewhere, and I thought she looks very beautiful. And but I didn't know very much Hindi. I could speak Hindi, but not too much. And there were no books then of Ma's. There was only one book, Satvani, and that was also not available. So I thought, well, she looks very beautiful, but I was very skeptical.
You were skeptical.
Yes.
You were critical.
I was critical
But
by nature.
When did you...
Then I met her again after several months in Benares. I was in Benares working. And then also there was no ashram in Benares. But they had chosen the plot. And there was under a pandal they had kirtan. And I went there with there were some Frenchmen and I went, and they said, we are going to see Anandamayi, why don't you come with us? So I said, okay. So I went there, and there was a huge, big crowd, and I was feeling very shy. Everybody looked at me, because, you know, they were...
looked different.
And it was two European dressed in Indian dress, and I was in a European dress. So, but I couldn't get out of the crowd. And then there was the mother of one of my pupils. I was teaching in the school. She saw me and she came straight to me and she got hold of my hand and she took me straight to Ma, right there. And everybody was looking, naturally. So I couldn't do anything, I had to follow her. So then she put me right there, just like you sitting. Yeah. And then I felt something.
You did?
I felt, yes, that Ma was not ordinary. That
Even though you were so critical?
Yeah, I was very critical, but I felt that there was something very special that time. And but then I said, Ma remembered me. I said, I have seen you before in Amor. I said, yes, I remember you.
She remembered you?
Yeah, of course. Ma remembers everything.
Yes.
She remembered me. And well, I sat for some time and I couldn't get out, you know. There was so much crowd and there's that. So I sat for some time and then I left again. And then I had an impression then that there was something very special. And like that it went very slowly till 1945. I met her again in Almora the next summer. And then in 1945, she was in Benares, staying in Sarnath, in Buddha's place. And there was an Englishman it was the man who owned this Gopal, but he died, you see, afterwards in 1949. And he had come in search of spirituality to India, and he had met many people. And when he came to Benares, I asked him, why did you come to Benares? His guru was in South India. One Atmananda was his name. It was on Sri Krishna Menon in Trivandrum. I said, your guru is in Trivandrum, why did you come to Benares? He said, one of the reasons is that I've heard that there is one very great woman saint, and I've seen her picture, and she attracts me very much. So I told my guru, and he said, yes, go and meet her. So he showed me the picture. I said, this is Anandamayi Ma? He said, yes, this is right. So I said, I think she may be in Benares. And there's one teacher who goes to see her. So I found out, and he said, yes. So this man went that was on the other side. Our school was on one side of the, same side of the Ganges, but one end of Benares, and this was the other. So he went there in the morning, and he never returned till late at night. And so next day I said, where have you been all day? Oh, he said, I have met something extraordinary. I've never seen anyone like this. And he was a very critical person, you know. And the best was not good enough for him. And he said this, so I was very impressed. He said, I said, how can you know in one day you can't even talk to her? He said, oh, I have met he had been to Raman Maharshi, to this Krishna Menon, and in Yoga Swami in Ceylon, and he had been to all the great people, Sri Aurobindo. And he said, I have never seen anything like this. There is no ego whatsoever. I said, how can you know? By her look, by her walk, by her movement, everything shows it. There's nobody like her. So naturally, then I got very interested, you see. I thought, if this man he was speaking about Tagore, that is our second grade. He was speaking about everybody like this. So then I became very interested. So then Mataji came to Sarnath, you see, and still I did not go. And this man went to Sarnath he went to Sarnath to see one monk from Ceylon who had been his friend there. He had been in a monastery in Ceylon. And he didn't return for 3-4 days. And there was then no telephone in Sarnath, and it was all, one had to walk and all this. And there was a cholera case in our compound. Yes, one servant's quarter. And so I said to the principal, he hasn't come back for 3-4 days. He must be ill. He went away. I saw him. He had nothing with him. He had not taken a change of clothes. And he was coming back. So then she said, you better take a rickshaw and go to... So I took a rickshaw and went to Sarnath. And I found him sitting very happily there with the monks. I said, what's the matter with you? How did you stay? You have no change of clothes. Oh, he said, I met Anandamayi Ma here, and she started to ask me some questions, and then now we have been discussing every day, all alone, that time there were no people.
Yes.
And there's a garden, and there's a very good translator here, that was the cousin of Didi, Gurupriya Devi, Jiten Mukherjee. And he's excellent, he knows what Ma says, and also his English is very good. So I've been discussing with her, but now I've nearly finished, I'm coming back tomorrow. So then, you see, I got very interested. Then I also met Mataji then, and then I used to walk every night after school. It was about, I think, 5 miles.
A week.
I used to walk. Well, it was by rickshaw 9 or 10 miles on the road. Now they have made a road there where I walk, but at that time there was no. So I walked by footpath, and every evening, and then I stayed there. She was on the roof of Br Atmananda. I stayed there for the night, and I walked back early morning. So then I made contact with Ma, see, and I talked to her for the first time. Then this man said, don't you want to talk to me? I said, no, I have nothing to say. Then every day, he said, I'm leaving for tomorrow. I said, all right. So then finally I said, every day I came, he was always there. I said, you haven't? No, but tomorrow I'm leaving. And then at last I said, all right, I will talk to her. And then I had a talk late at night with her, and he translated. And then, of course, you see, I found that she, by a few words, exploded my problem, you see.
I see.
Yeah. I asked her something, and
You were looking for a solution to a problem?
yes, yes, I was. And she just, it was so simple that I thought, how is it that I didn't find it out for myself? But I couldn't, you see. And then I made real contact with her. But Ma, you see, she doesn't, she waits. All this time she knew,
Till you're prepared.
she knew it, of course, but she waited. And then after I had this talk, then I had another talk the next day, next morning, and then this man left. And then I took to Ma, of course, very much.
And then you started living with her?
No, not yet. I was at school for 9 more years.
And after that you went to Ma?
Yes. No, I used to go to her very often.
During the holidays and all that.
No, also she used to be in Benares. You see, the ashram was then being built, and part of it was already built, and Ma would be in Benares 4 or 6 months in a year, at intervals, you see. And I was at school, and whenever she came, but it was 5 miles from, it was in Asigat, and my school was in Rajghat. So I went by rickshaw, and I used to go every night and stay overnight and go back in the morning. So then I saw her very much, more than now.
Yes,
yes, and then there were not so many people. No, now I don't go near at all, because, you know, there's
But then when
such a
she's in
crowd.
seclusion, are you able to go and see her
Not
still?
now.
No?
No, when, for instance, here in April, we could go, of course, 2-3 times a day. When she's really in seclusion, then
Then you don't.
no.
And then when you started living with her as...
That was much later.
9 years later?
Yes, in 1954,
Uh-huh.
I resigned my schoolwork.
Sure.
And I went to, and stayed for in Benares for 2 years. And then I came to Dehradun.
I see. And then did you start traveling around with Mom?
Yes, already when I was at school, I was always with her. All my holidays, you know, in school you have 3 months, 3.5
Yes.
months of holidays. Summer holidays, 2 months, I stayed with her. I went to Solan, to Almora, wherever she went.
Wherever she went, you went with her.
And
now-
then, you know, there are the holidays in
Yes.
between, 3 days and 8 days and so like this. And then I left school, you see, then I left because I started doing translation of Ma's words, you
I
see.
see.
And
From Bengali to English?
Yes, I learned Bengali specially for that. That is
that,
a
I see.
Ma's miracle at that age, you know, to learn.
How old are you now?
I'm 77. And so then I learned, first I learned Hindi when I came to Ma. Then I could talk to her, and she never said learn Hindi, but I felt very much, you see, that man translated well, but I wanted to know what Ma said
with
really.
them, yes.
So I learned Hindi all my free time. I was teaching at school whole afternoon. I used to sit over my Hindi books, and I learned Hindi. And within 1 year she called me and she said, "You translate." I said, I can't, don't know enough. Yes, you know. And somehow I did it.
You did it.
Yes, and so she encouraged me. She never said learn or anything. She doesn't do that, you see. And then
She just suggests in her own way.
and then they started this Anandvarta. They wanted,
Yes.
and they said, "You do it." I said, "No, it can't be done from Hindi. Ma's Hindi is not so, you know, Ma speaks Hindi, but it's not so good.
Yes.
Bengali is very, very good." So then I learned Bengali, and well, then they asked me to do this work, and so I did all the translation.
And not now, could you tell in a few words, what are your feelings about Ma, your own personal?
My feelings.
Yeah.
What can I say?
You've been with her for so long.
Yes, I've been with her for very long. It's true. Now not so much, before more, of course. But no, you see, now I don't need to go to her so much, really. Now the people crowd around her after so many years.
Received her?
Yes.
You have received her, and she's within you.
I feel that, yes, of course.
What
And
do you
you
think
see, when
about
I
her?
when I do this work also, I feel her very much. When I do her, I do the translation, and also I edit articles about her and all this. So I'm busy with her the whole time.
You are still doing that work?
Yes.
The articles?
Yes.
And you publish
I am the editor of this magazine in English.
In English.
Yes, I can. I'll show you a copy. I've got some here. So I am always busy, except of course my own housework I do, but otherwise I do nothing else but this. So I feel, you see, that there is nobody like Ma. She's. I have been with Raman Maharshi once for 6 weeks. Yes, and before that I was a theosophist from my 17th year.
I see.
Yes, in Austria already.
Already?
Yes, and then I was in India before, once in 1925.
Achha.
Yes, I came for the Theosophical Jubilee. Yes, for the...
Then you went back?
Yes, I came for 3 months, and I was only in South India, in Adyar, Madras.
Yes.
And then I went back. But I was very attracted by India always. But at that time I was offered this job in the school also then, but I didn't want to stay, no. But then 10 years later, I came. Then I didn't know Ma at all, of course. I didn't know anything about her. At that time, when I came first in 1925, that she was in Dhaka and she was quite unknown.
Yes. But you were going to say what you feel about her now.
What can I say?
Maybe it is difficult to explain really.
Yes, no. What can you say what you feel about Ma? my voice is hoarse now. I've already told you there is nobody like her, you see.
For you she is the ultimate.
She is, yes, definitely. No, I was very, very impressed by Raman Maharshi, see. And in fact, I stayed there in my holidays in 1942. And then when I came back to my school, I didn't want to work anymore. I said, I'm going back to Tiruvannamalai. And I resigned my job, and I made all arrangements, and I said, I'm going to stay there. And the police wouldn't let me, because I am Austrian by birth. You see, I was an enemy alien. And then I was very upset. And I had to go back to Banaras. The police said, no, you must stay here. It was war, you see. And then I met Ma after that, you see.
And Ma enveloped you in her home.
Yes, and then I felt that this was, otherwise I was very keen to go there, but now, afterwards I saw that this was much better for me. So then I took to Ma after that very much. And
thank you. I find that most of the European ashram vasis are wearing white clothes. You are possibly the only one I've noticed wearing orange, Bhagwa. And tell us something also about your name.
No, there's also Vijayanand.
There is another person?
Yes. Vijayanand, he wears also this dress. Now, I, of course, Ma gave me the name already as soon as I met her. She said, I must give you a name. And then, but she didn't call me straight away Atmananda.
What did she say?
It was Ram Navami.
Ram Navami? How is that?
Ram Navami, you know, so she said, what shall I call you? Will you be Ramdasi or Ramanandi? I said, whatever you call me. Then we called a little while. She said, no, you say. I said, no, I won't say. And finally I said Ramananda. So she said, Acha, I thought you wanted Anand. And so then I was Ramanand. Then I came to her, that was in summer. Then I came to her in Diwali, in Vindhyachal. Then I stayed there for the first time. And suddenly she said, I must change your name.
Again.
This name doesn't suit you. It does, but you don't understand. You think Ram was a particular person. Ram means Anand. So it does suit you, but I will call you Atmananda. That's better for you. So since then I'm Atmananda.
So you got that name.
Yes.
And when did you get your
my clothes you see it was in Hardwar, in Bhagat house on the other side, Karkari. They were staying there for there was Kumbh Mela, very big Kumbh Mela in 1962. And Ma asked somebody, there many people were given sannyas and this, and Ma asked somebody, will you take? And he said, he was not willing. And I said, Ma, I can take sannyas. I said, Acha, all right. Then she said, she gave me an alkala. You know what an alkala is? A rope. And she said, all right, you get jogya kala, not garua. She won't allow Europeans to wear garua, only jogya. You get jogya kala, don't tell anyone, dye it, and on that particular day, you know, it is called 13th of April, what do you call it? 13th of April.
13th of April is Vaisakhi.
No, Vaisakhi, but it has got another name also. When it doesn't matter. Akshay, no, that
Purnima.
no.
Is it?
No, it is something else. It doesn't matter. Same day when everybody takes sannyas, Didi Ma took sannyas in 1939 on that day, and it's very. So then she said, on that day, you bathe in the Ganges and you don't wear your other clothes anymore, and now you wear this. So from that I am wearing, yes.
And
from that
you
time.
and Vijayanandaji are the only
And later, once later, Ma gave Vijayanand this color. She gave him a cloth of this color and she said to wear this. But Ma wants the Shastra to be obeyed verbally, and she does no clause for Europeans to be given sannyas in the Shastras. So Ma won't give sannyas.
But she's given you the...
Yes, the color, she said, the name you have already got, and you wear this now. And you give me all your old clothes.
And then sannyas is of the mind, isn't it?
So that is how it is. Yes, of course, sannyas is an inner thing.
It's an inner thing. Even if outwardly people don't
it doesn't
believe
matter,
you
you needn't wear.
subjective,
But you know, it
isn't
helps. I like it very much because people look at me in a different way. You see, it's very helpful. People don't expect, when you wear ordinary dress, they'll invite you for parties and all. But this they don't. You see, they look at you quite. Yes, and the moment they look at you, they think of God. That also, you see, like this. Or some people now touch my feet, which I don't like. But you see, everybody immediately.
Yes.
Seeing this color, it helps everybody. People say that it is useless, it's ridiculous. Why must you show what you are? You can be same and white. That is true. And also it's very much easier to wash.
Thank you so much.
So